Hey guys, as we dig further into our color studies, just know that in the color module on Canvas, there is a PDF of our color terms and vocabulary. Take a peek at that if you don't remember any of the ones we talk about in these videos. There may or may not be a super secret pop color quiz coming at you later in the week or next week. So you may want to make sure that you understand what each of these words all mean. So today we're going to cover tint, tone, and shade. Again, if this is a review, awesome, you get more time to practice. A tint is any time we add white to a color. So when you're using colored pencils, there's a couple different ways to make different values. Value, remember, is the lightness or darkness of a color. One way is to just press lighter with the colored pencil. However, because that doesn't always work on the toned paper I gave you, we're going to practice adding white or a lighter color to create those tints instead. The project that we're going to work on, we really are going to want to have a nice, rich, thick coloring of the colored pencils, so we're not going to want to rely too much on coloring light only as a means of value, but rather as a way to add additional colors. So for this one, I have colored all of my words the same light color of pink by pressing lightly. You can actually try this with different colors so you can see what tints and tones of different hues would look like. That's kind of up to you guys. So for a tint, you're going to go ahead and add white to your color. Now, in this video, for some reason, I think it's just because it's getting more pigmented, it's actually making the color appear a little darker just because perhaps I don't have quite enough pigment on the paper already. So I'll color a little harder so you can see what it looks like when you change it. But we all know that when you add white to something, the color gets lighter. Now, one of the beauties of the Prismacolor pencils, and this is why I love them so much, is that they do almost mix like paints. So if something is too dark, as long as I don't have too many layers over top, I can still lighten it up with the pencils pretty well. So tint is color plus white. My professors in college said white and tint both have T's. Remember it that way. I thought that was kind of a dumb way to remember it, but I still remember it, so there you go. I guess it worked. A tone is when you take a color plus black plus white. It almost equates to graying out a color. If you have a color that's like way too intense in your drawing and you're like, I don't know, this thing needs to look a certain way and I'm just not hitting it right now, it might be that you need to tone it down. Using black and white, essentially adding gray to your piece, is one way to do that. And with these colored pencils, sometimes you have to go back and forth to get the right color. But we're going to talk later about another way to change the tonality of a color, which involves actually connecting it with its complementary color. So in tone, I want you to add black and white to a color. Again, it's going to make like a gray version. Shade, which you can easily remember because when you go into the shade or a shadow, things get a little darker. A shade is when you add black to a color. So I'm just making this a little darker to start with so you can see it better. So if I just take my black colored pencil, I'm coloring very lightly here because the black is so much more intense than the pink. It'll take over pretty quickly. And here's where you get Boza's caution of using black too much. A lot of times students and artists alike, when they try to make things darker, immediately reach for the black colored pencil. It is true that black will make things much darker, hence why we have shades. But if you do that, a lot of times you lose a lot of the vibrancy of the color. It turns muddy and kind of flat. It is good for stark shadows, but not just like small changes. So say you're drawing, I don't know, the wrinkle in somebody's shirt. Instead of just reaching for the black colored pencil, go for a next darker shade of that color. You know, if it's lime green, go for regular green. If it is normal blue, go for navy blue for those shadows before you start introducing the black because it's really harsh. There you go. Fill out this sheet. Go ahead and turn it in. Bye, guys.